Well, you saw me earlier talking a little bit and introducing the class. Now what I'd like to do is take you through Lesson 1. Again, the title of this class is Equipping Students with the Mindset of an Achiever by Replacing Their Negative Perceptions and Internal Dialogues with Action Plans. I want you to obtain at least 3 concepts during this first lesson, and that is, first of all, to understand the power of mindset. That is, your mindset is kind of the internal world that you exist in, with the thoughts and the associations, perceptions, and your predictions of the future based on events that you see and based on events that you've experienced in the past. Number 2 is, I want you to understand the link between your mindset and your performance. How you think inside your brain very much determines your achievement and your ability to perform, particularly after an adverse event. And then number 3 is, I want you to make the shift from thinking, I am dumb, to thinking, I can improve. Okay, so you're saying to yourself, well, Donnie, I think what you meant to say is you want me as an educator to help my student think that. And that is true. This is a course that will help you equip your students with a new mindset. But there's going to be a running theme in every lesson, and that is, unless you yourself start to have a new mindset, your students won't have that mindset. And so we want you to model the mindset of an achiever first, and we'll help you do that. And then once you have the vocabulary to actually, you yourself, after adverse events, to get back up and get right back into the game, your students will start to follow suit. Let's go ahead and start with this picture. I want to just ask you, what do you see right here? Of course, you see a big crowd that's watching 4 athletes run around a track, and one of them falls. Now what I want to ask you is this. If you were to fast forward 5 seconds, and if the camera were to stay on this scene, what do you think you would see next? What you would probably see, and I'm just somewhat predicting of what's in your mind, is you would probably see this athlete stand back up and walk off the track. And we don't want her to do that. We actually want her to get back up and keep running. Now, this analogy is to help you kind of relate to situations that happen in your classroom. There are many of your students who are experiencing mishaps all the time. That mishap may be getting a D on the test. Maybe they get yelled at by their parents before class and they come to school absolutely unhappy. Maybe that mishap is they get cut from the basketball team. Anyway, it's some kind of adverse event that happens in their life that causes them to start to predict what the future will hold for them. And those who have a pessimistic and fixed mindset will get discouraged and walk off the track. And those who don't have that type of mindset but are optimistic and have a growth mindset will actually get back up and start running. Now, if you look at this picture, it's another picture of someone who's fallen. But if you were to fast forward 5 seconds, you would probably say this person in 5 seconds will be back up on their feet and playing basketball in the game. Why is that? Well, it's a different game. If you're doing a 100-meter dash and you fall down, the likelihood that you'll be able to win that game and contribute substantially to that entire event is very small. In basketball, it's different. If you fall down, there's lots of opportunity for you to still get back up, contribute substantially to the game, and win that game. Some of your students, if you can work with me here on these somewhat deficient analogies, I know they're not that perfect, but some of your students are in the 100-meter dash mindset, where when they fail, they feel that it is over, and they can't do anything more. Other of your students are more optimistic, and their mindset is more like a basketball game mindset. So when they fall, they realize the educational realm. School is a place where you can make mistakes. You can actually get a poor grade on one test and actually do better on the next test. Getting a D on one test doesn't predict that you'll get a D on a future test and that the game is over. This course a lot is about helping your students get back into the game based on the mindset they have. In this particular example, the 2 mindsets is the mindset of being in the game of a 100-meter dash or being in the game of basketball. And we want our students to realize they're in the game of basketball, and there's always hope for them to actually keep going. Now, what is your role? You're the coach. And I believe 90% of you already realize this, but I believe there's 10% of you who are watching this that you have not yet fully assimilated the fact that it really is your responsibility to help shape the mindset of your students. It's part of a skill that we have to learn how to pick up. Of course, if you're a math teacher, you have to know math well. And we all realize we have to also know classroom management well. We have to know grading well. We have to know some psychological aspects well. But the specific skill set of helping your student after an adverse event get back up and not only keep going, but do well, is a skill set that this course is meant to equip you with. Now, I realize, the players, they fall down. But what we want them to do, like this ice skater, is to get back up. And we all have our days as coaches where we just feel like, you know what? I am so frustrated. All I can do is sit here on the sidelines and yell. I keep yelling 1,000 times, stop talking in class. Do your homework before the test. Stop watching too much TV. Come to class having read the assignment I told you. There's just all these things. We get so frustrated, and we can't get out on the court and play the game for them and make a shot for them. But what we can do is we can equip ourselves with a particular vocabulary that makes us like this coach. And you might have to enlarge your YouTube screen. If so, just go ahead and go to the bottom right and enlarge it to full screen. But if you look closely, there's a glimmer of hope in this coach's eye, where he's rooting for the player, and he himself has a sense of hope. And really, although this class is about equipping your students with the mindset of an achiever, I'd like to say that this class is really about you. And it's about transforming you into that type of coach that has the key skill sets to help your students become a group, a team of achievers. And so, students who feel they can't change their situation will never improve. And I believe you know this. Students who feel they can change their situation will improve. Our job as teachers is to build a staircase for students from feeling hopeless to feeling hopeful. And I'd like to pause here for a second. It's that sense of hope that you can do something about your situation that is at the heart of this course. Let me say that again. Imparting into our students a sense that they can do something about their situation. They can do something so that they have a sense of hope is what will eventually make them achievers. As soon as you become a person who feels like you can't do anything about your situation, you fall into what psychologists call learned helplessness. And this particular course will give your students a methodical way to exit learned helplessness, become hopeful, and execute on an action plan to improve. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to quickly just go to a drawing board. And so let me go ahead and pull that drawing board up. Got some screenshots here. If you take a quick look at this, we're actually going to reproduce this really quick. What you're looking at here, you're saying, you know what, I don't know how you got that. This is confusing. Well, you're going to see something like this in the lesson you're about to read. And so I'm going to reproduce this diagram. But really what it is, it's a set of steps you can take a student through to go from feeling helpless to feeling hopeful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be typing out statements, and you probably won't be able to read it unless you can look very closely. Don't worry if you can't read everything on the screen. But what I do want you to do is listen to me closely. So I am your teacher for the next few minutes. I want to ask that you put yourself in the role of my student. So if I may, I'll call you Susie. And let's say we're in, an 11th grade class, and you just got a D on a calculus test. Okay? And so I see you there, you're totally discouraged, it looks like you're devastated, and I want to take you through a sense of a set of activities that will actually go from feeling despondent to feeling hopeful. I'm going to do this very quickly, but I want you to listen to the different concepts that surface, with each concept being a skill set that you will pick up during this course to equip you to help our students become achievers with the mindset of an achiever. The first thing I would say is, Susie, what happened? And I would just take out a piece of paper and I would draw a square for you, and I say, I want you to write in this square exactly what happened. And so you, as Susie, would go ahead and pick up your pencil, paper, and you say, I got a D. Okay. Next thing I would say is, okay, you got a D. Can you tell me what's going through your mind right now with regard to that particular event? And write it in this second square. Okay, so you are Susie and you say, sure. What's going through my mind right now is my dad is going to kill me and I am not good at math. Okay, so then what I say is, I hear what you have just said. I want you to now write down in a third square how that makes you feel. Okay, and so Susie goes ahead and draws a square, or you can draw the square for her, and she goes ahead and types in exactly how she feels, and she says, I feel stupid, scared, and I feel like I will not graduate. Okay, so basically these are feelings that have surfaced. And so one of the skill sets I've just done is, one is I've helped the student objectively articulate what the event was. Two is I've asked the student to consider what has surfaced in their mind after the event occurred. Actually, that's called metacognition. It's a skill set you have to teach your students. That is, being able to analyze and observe thoughts that go through their head. And then the other skill set I just did is I basically had you write down what you feel. And after doing that, I as a teacher should tell you, Susie, that is, the reason you feel stupid, scared, and that you will not graduate actually is not because of the D that you got. Really, it's because of the thoughts that came up in your head. So this is a skill set of helping the student associate their hopeless emotions not to the event, because the event has happened and there's really nothing you can do about it. Although we realize if you talk to the teacher, you may be able to do some things about it. But strictly speaking, what the association that's key here is that your feelings are a result of the thoughts that appeared in your head. And so for particularly in this case, the thought in Susie's mind is, my dad is going to kill me and I am not good at math. I then need to help Susie realize the reason you feel bad is because you have some untrue perceptions that are surfacing. Okay, now I get it. Some kids, when they get home, they really will get hurt by their parents, and that we don't want to happen. But I want to work with me here. I want you to realize that pessimism is thinking that the worst will happen. And many times the reason a student, as your athlete in your classroom, does not pick back up is because they feel like the worst will happen and there's nothing they can do to improve their situation. Okay, the steps I'm about to take Susie through right now are the steps that transform her mindset from thinking she can do nothing and being in a learned helpless state to actually being able to do something. And so what I do is I say, Susie, I'm going to write another box for you. And what I want you to do is I want you to write 3 reasons why you think you got a D. So Susie says, okay, well, the first reason I feel like I got a D is I stayed up too late and watched TV. watched too much TV. I say, okay, that's one reason. Give me another reason. Another reason is you gave me too hard of a test. I say, okay, that's fair. I like how you're thinking and you're diagnosing this very well. Give me another reason. Another reason is I'm dumb. Okay, so you have several reasons here. I want you to write down which reason you think is the most likely. Okay, well, I, Susie, think it's because I'm dumb. Well, Susie, actually, the truth is you're not dumb. Whenever you experience a poor event, you need to turn your eyes off of your person and look at behaviors that contributed to the event. And so which of the other two reasons are a behavior that you feel you can change? Once you focus on what you yourself can change, you're well on your way to becoming an achiever. So she sighs and she says, okay, well, I'll just circle the one I think. It's watch too much TV. I said, great, okay. So what is your goal? I want you to now write down what your goal is. And so she writes, I want to get an A. And before she actually finishes that, I say, wait, Susie, let's make your goal easier. Just put that you want to get a C. And she says, no, I want an A. My dad will kill me if I don't get an A. I won't get into Harvard if I don't get an A. Susie, right now, we're focusing on your race, your journey, and your pathway. And I want you to create a baby step that you feel you can achieve, upon which you can then launch into higher goals. She goes, okay, I want to get a C. And so she writes that, and then I ask her, what I want you to do is I want you to write down a set of steps that will actually help you achieve that goal. So I draw another box for her, and I just have her write down some steps. So let's go ahead and do that. She says, well, I need to move the TV out of my room. I say, okay, great. What's the next thing? She says, I need to ask you for help. I say, great. I would love to spend some time helping you. What's another thing you need to do? I need to do 10 problems of math the night before and email you if I can't get the right answer. I say outstanding. And then the last thing I do with her is I just say, now tell me how you feel. And very likely what you're going to find is you're going to find that they feel better. And what you've just done is you have walked them through a pathway of taking an event that seemed like it was insurmountable. You have then decatastrophized it. That is, you've shrunk it down to a meaningful problem. And then what you've done is you've had them come up with several reasons why the event happened. You help them make a goal. You help them write out some action items so that they can do something about their situation. Remember what I said just a few minutes ago? Being able to help someone feel they can do something about their situation is at the heart of this. And then they feel better. And so I want to thank you for joining this course, and I want to say that we are here as a team to help you yourself have the mindset of an achiever and help your students acquire this mindset. I believe you'll enjoy this course very much. Thank you.